Dr. David Katz is a board-certified specialist in preventive medicine and public health. Some have speculated that Trump got the idea to reopen America quickly from Katz's recent New York Times op-ed.
Well, Fareed, I don't know that I've changed my mind. My position never supported what the president said. The idea of an arbitrary return to the world is dangerous nonsense and always was. The global data show massive risk differentials. Some of us are at much higher risk of severe infection and death than others. The latest data from Italy, where there have been nearly 10,000 deaths, show that only 1.2% of all of those deaths are in people under age 50, and only 2.1% of all of those deaths are in people who don't have a major prior chronic disease, and only a tiny fraction of a percent are in people who were both healthy and under 50. So the idea is that some portion of the population could potentially return to the world early if we had the right data to inform that. And we may not be left to choose between everybody back to the world now, take your chances, preposterous nonsense, and everybody hunker in isolation, in anxiety, uncertainty, and doubt until maybe we have a vaccine, or if you're old and sick to begin with, maybe you die of something else while waiting. I'm talking about a middle path. I was always talking about a middle path. Unfortunately, in modern American discourse, every idea is turned into a caricature. The public deserves to know. My parents deserve to know. My 80-year-old parents deserve to know there's a plan for a plan. And it's data-informed, and we're collecting the data. Who has this? Who's likely to need hospitalization? Who's likely to need an ICU bed? Who is likely to have such a mild version of this infection they don't even know they have it? All of those questions can be answered with data. There are two radical positions. Again, take your chances no matter what your baseline age or health status, or lock everybody away indefinitely. What I'm saying is we can quickly learn in a span of just weeks if we have the same massive risk differentials that we're seeing in South Korea, that we're seeing in Germany, and that we're even seeing in Italy. And if that's the case, a large portion of the population returning to the world could achieve herd immunity at a very low risk of severe infection and dying, and we could double down on protecting people like my parents and protecting people with prior health problems so that we do a better job of sheltering them, providing them services, providing them information while they wait it out. And then we avoid both extremes the Prime Minister talked about. We don't shut the world down for years, which is calamitous, but we also don't achieve herd immunity at the cost of a very high number of deaths, because those most at risk of severe infection and dying are the very ones we shelter away, and the rest of us who can afford to get this because we're very likely to get over it, and by the way, I think I have it and I'm awaiting my test results, we're the ones who go back to the world early, achieve that herd immunity that allows us to resume normal life. The virus looks like it's very widespread in the U.S., and a lot of people have already had it and never knew. We need to find out. And the goal here is total harm minimization. But we're going to lose lives to the virus, and we're going to lose lives as we erode the social determinants of health. People lose their jobs, desperation, depression, addiction, suicide. There's been a spike in domestic violence already. There's been a rush to buy guns already. People aren't using guns to shoot the coronavirus, so what are those for? We should be gathering data so we can risk stratify. And all of the people who most need protection, it's not just old people or people with heart disease. It may very well be pregnant women. We need to find out. But even if it's 50 million people, we can do a better job of sheltering 50 million people than we can of sheltering 330 million people.